Colonel Kniseley, welcome. Do you want to give a brief expanded introduction for yourself before we get onto the chat?
Sure, Kevin. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you to yourself and Tiffany for helping pull together this event, as well as GovCon Wire, Potomac Officers Club, and TechnoMile. So my name is Colonel Rich Kniseley. I'm the Senior Materiel Leader for the Commercial Space Office here at Space Systems Command and a part of the United States Space Force. Our mission is to deliver and provide game-changing commercial capabilities for our nation's warfighters and our allies. I think many of you have heard about the threat that we face in the space domain by various different pacing challenges, and how we need to ensure that we have free maneuver within space, as well as provide those vast space capabilities that are very tied together and intrinsic in everything that we do for the Department of Defense. So knowing what we have and going with the mantra that we have here at Space Systems Command, which is exploit what we have, buy what we can, and build only what we must, we know that we have to tap into the commercial innovation and the entrepreneurship of the sector. And we are doing that in a number of different ways. The biggest ways that we get after it in the Space Force today are through commercial SATCOM launch, as well as utilizing commercial space domain awareness data, and a new area that we've ventured off into, tactical surveillance, reconnaissance, and tracking, or what we call TAC-SRT, which is using commercial analytics to tie together multiple different phenomenologies to produce operational planning products for our nation's warfighters and combatant commands. But like Kevin said, it was important for us in the Space Force to publish a commercial space strategy, which we did in April of this year. And that space strategy is also tied together with the DoD's commercial space strategy, which was released the same month. And what that strategy did was provide guardrails and guidelines on how we want to engage with the commercial industry, as well as kind of give the guiding principles, lines of effort, and assessment criteria that we will utilize and enforce on how we will integrate those commercial strategy, or those commercial capabilities. But also what it did was it outlined areas that we felt commercial can better integrate, and we can go after those capabilities. I mentioned earlier commercial SATCOM launch and commercial space domain awareness, as well as TAC-SRT. But it also outlined how we see commercial can provide alternate position, navigation, and timing. We are also exploring what we call SAML, which is space access, manufacturing, and logistics. Think of maneuvering in space, providing refueling of satellites, which would allow us to extend service life and also push out replenishment dates and allow us to get more bang for the buck. But it also outlined how we felt that commercial can help us with cyber security and awareness, and command and control, to name a few. So we wanted to put that out there to help guide industry. What you're going to also see in that strategy is it does not pre-describe or pre-subscribe solutions. We meet with industry all the time, whether it's from our industry days or through the SSC front door, which since we revamped in September, we've had over 800 companies come through that front door, and we're able to match them with investment opportunities, as well as introduce them to the right decision makers and help industry better understand requirements. But industry wants to be part of the solution and not have the solution pre-described to them. It kind of boxes them in the corner and more or less puts them into non-commercial status at that point, because we may take them out of the commercial market. What we want to hear is your ideas on how you would get after those programs or those problems. And what we've also done is worked with SpaceWorks to align dollar opportunities with some of those industry days. We've done that successfully with 2 of them for alt P&T as well as commercial weather. And most recently, we're having another challenge on sustained space maneuver that we've teamed together with a U.S. Space Command. So we're moving forward with a lot of different things with the Commercial Space Office, and I'm sure we'll get into a lot more of the endeavors that we have in the office, but I'll turn it back over to you, Kevin.
Sure. Because you've gone through so quickly, we actually have a couple of questions right on point, and I think it'd be easier to answer them now rather than later. And I think the best question we got so far is, and folks, you can ask a question in the Q&A box if you're logged in. Feel free to ask a question. We'll try to catch up to them. Simplest question is, how do you get a copy of the commercial space strategy?
So it was really important for us to develop or work on the commercial space strategy and also release it unclassified. Previous strategies were, like through the Space Command, were classified, controlled unclassified information, which means more or less you need a special card with a chip to receive it, and obviously a lot of industry doesn't have that. I believe what you can do right now is you can go on Google and type in United States Space Force commercial space strategy, and you should be able to get at least see an article and follow a link where they have published the strategy. If that does not work for you, please go through the SSC front door and request a copy, and we should be able to get that to you because it was developed unclassified.
Yeah, it's actually, I guess if you're really into it, a thrilling read. 19 pages, thoughtful, engaging. So anyone who's in the space really should be made familiar with it. And so, yeah, you can easily get it that way. I'd like to drill down a little bit more into I think a lot of our clients really try to understand, and at TechnoMile, try to understand what's going on in the government, why they make organizational changes. So, it's been a long time since the Commercial Space Office was rebranded to COMSO and had its scope broadened. For those who aren't familiar, it's not just the primary responsibilities. It's like, how has your role changed, and how has the office really just refocused in some of its key areas?
So actually, I'll kind of just go back and do a little bit of history with everybody. So in 2022, Space Systems Command stood up a commercial services office. Very small office, and the mission was very similar to what we're doing in the commercial space office. How do we tap into commercial capabilities to get those capabilities out to the warfighter and fulfill some of the capability gaps and problems that we're having, with a traditional build acquisition. But some of the feedback that we got from industry was that the title of the office itself was very off-putting. If industry said, well, obviously if I don't perform a service, you don't want to talk to me, and that could have been the furthest thing from the truth, because we're looking at any and all different ways that commercial can help us out, whether that's satellite manufacturing, services, providing data and different phenomenologies. So in April of 2023, we rebranded the Commercial Services Office as the Commercial Space Office. I was the fortunate individual to be named as the commercial or the Senior Materiel Leader of the office. But what we did in Space Systems Command was really group together all of our commercial enablers to synergize a lot of the things that we were doing, because we had many different pockets of enablers all over the organization. And to provide a better focus and process, we needed to group them together. Under my office, I have the Commercial SATCOM Office, which is the DoD's one-stop shop for all their commercial SATCOM needs, led by Miss Claire Hopper, located out in Fort Meade, Maryland. We provide all the DoD's commercial SATCOM capabilities. Many different contracts. Actually, we have contract values over $1 billion, and we actually execute over $850 million per year for the entire DoD for their SATCOM needs. I mentioned the SSC front door. That is also under the Commercial Space Office. That was stood up to be the one place for all of industry to go to learn how to do business with the DoD, because you can only imagine for a new startup how if you don't know the process, you don't know who to talk to, it could be a very frustrating place to be. I worked legislative liaisons. I worked as a legislative liaison back in 2017, and Chairman Rogers at the time waved around a PowerPoint slide of I think it was the 80 faces of decision makers in the DoD space acquisitions, and I could see industry kind of looking at the government like that. So what the front door does, it allows us to understand companies' capabilities, their technical maturity. We do business due diligence. We have ongoing conversations with the investment community, and we really try to play a matchmaker with the decision makers, but also find investment opportunities for companies. Which leads me to another part of my organization, which is SpaceWorks. SpaceWorks is a partnership with AFWorks, and we provide the organize, train, and equip for that organization. But many companies are funded through the SBIR process, which is about $400 million per year. That we're able to invest in industry and companies and mature capabilities to align with our government requirements. One thing that we were successful in doing, which was really taking into account the maturity of the commercial market, was to pivot that budget away from small SBIRs like phase 1, phase 2 contracts, which are, in excess of about $1.9 million, but go after a lot more TAC-FIs and STRAT-FIs, which are, more or less building prototypes. And we pivoted that budget from, I would say it was 15% for STRAT-FIs. So previously it was about awarding 0 to 1 space STRAT-FI per year. They were kind of the holy grail. And this last time, Mr. Calvelli, our service acquisition executive, approved, and we awarded 9. So that was awesome, and just to highlight the maturity of the space market. We run the global data marketplace out of COMSO, which we run we award commercial space domain awareness data buys through there. And we have actually moved TAC SRT buys under there as well. And that's allowing us to get commercial capabilities out at tactical speeds. Those SRT planning products are coming out in less than 72 hours from combatant command query. It's made a huge pivot in commercial. They're moving at tactical speeds, and we have designs to expand that into other areas. I will also mention we run CASR through COMSO, that is the Commercial Augmentation Space Reserve. We started that back in February of 2023, starting with the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, which is on the air side of things. But how do we ensure that commercial capabilities will be there during peacetime, but also scalable across the spectrum of conflict? So we have been on that journey with industry for well over a year now. We've had multiple different industry days, and we are looking forward to awarding our first set of contracts by the early part of next year. So plenty of things going on in the commercial space office. I also do have a dedicated group who are my finance team, my contracting team, and I also have a engineering and integration area that is highlighting to our PEOs where commercial can solve a lot of their different problems, and relaying those requirements out through the front door to commercial industry.
If I may, just peel back the front door a little bit more, because this, I think a lot of folks now are used to when they try to contact somebody, they get an AI or they get something, but you're basically laying out they should contact directly, and it's emailed to a real person who's going to get back to somebody.
Kevin, I think I heard you. You were talking about the front door.
The front door.
Is
that the best way?
I'm sorry?
Somebody to get to? Is that the best way for somebody who really just doesn't know where to go or who to talk to?
I would say it is easily the best place to start. It's easily found. You can Google the SSC front door, and it'll be the first link that comes up. It's very user-friendly. It allows you to load the information of your company and the mission area that you're looking to provide towards. And very shortly, you will have contact with a live breathing human being. And then we can start having those conversations on how we can best support you. I will tell you, I take a lot of those meetings on myself by nature of the job, but also it allows me to crack open my Rolodex and make those connections with industry as well. But what we also have through the front door is we have well over 20 different agencies and groups connected through the backhaul of our Salesforce tool. So when you come through the front door, you're not just being broadcasted through Space Systems Command. Space Operations Command is seeing the information. The Space RCO group is seeing it. We have connections through NASA, Space Force headquarters, and we are also looking to franchise this with our allied partners. We recently just led a discussion at the International Summit, partnered with NSSA and Space Systems Command, and we're looking to take that model, hand it over to our international partners so that they can build a similar structure as well.
Yeah, so I think I noticed inside the commercial space strategy, we can dive down more into that. I'm really glad that you talked about how you're going to leverage not just the U.S.'s military, its own capability and the commercial sector, but also hybrid with international partners. And just is that for you one of the keys to commercial space strategy? Like what in terms of their overall main objectives? Is that really where you're trying to ensure that you've got everything in balance?
So international partnership is important, not just in the commercial space strategy, but also where we're going in the United States Space Force. Space in itself is a collaboration. When we were doing our race to space, it was something that definitely kept companies together, and it allows for partnership and collaboration. And as we are utilizing the space architecture, we will be utilizing it with our allied partners. And kind of going back to that mantra of exploit, buy, build, knowing that we don't have to fund everything ourselves, that we are able to tap into what our international partners are doing, and likewise, them tapping into what we're doing, it brings us closer together. But also, if you think about it from an exercise and wargaming standpoint, we need to be operating together so we know what the left side is doing versus the right side. And then also when you start thinking about CASR and scaling that capability across the spectrum of conflict, you want to also ensure that you are not taking away the capability arbitrarily from a international partner as well. So we are working and we are actually implementing the strategy and the implementation plan right now. And one of the key thrusts is international partnerships, how we are codifying, working with our international partners, as well as IDing opportunities for more collaboration, exercises, and wargaming, and also through our Space Systems Integration Office and our mission area PEOs, looking at where commercial will be fitting into those overall mission area roadmaps.
So I want to make sure I heard you right, because this is very interesting. You mentioned CASR, but I think you started off in the international question, which is how I prompted you for this. But then you mentioned CASR, and I guess I really didn't think about the commercial augmentation space reserves and its relation to anything international. Was that me making a connection that you weren't intending, or is this part of a more holistic view?
No, it's definitely part of a holistic view, because we do have international partners that utilize the same commercial capabilities that we look to possibly on-ramp as CASR members. So like I said, as we are potentially, if we ever do go into a fight tonight scenario and we do need to call on CASR to provide more of that capability, we have to ensure that we're not doing any undue harm both to our international partners that may need that capability, but also even back home if we need more bandwidth, and that bandwidth also needs to be utilized by our emergency responders as well. So as we started CASR, obviously we're thinking of the DoD. How do we have access to that commercial capability in peacetime as well as conflict? But we also need to ensure that we are understanding how our international partners are utilizing it and making sure that we're not doing any undue harm to them as well.
So just to make sure, so let's get the analogy to the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, where there's national and international. And this appears to be, in space, a richer blend. Then you have both, but it appears to be a richer blend. And I think for the audience, knowing that there is a true capabilities that be done through international partnerships, I think would enliven them, because we have a lot of capabilities in the U.S., but have a lot of providers outside that are friendly to the U.S. So I appreciate that explanation. You did mention
go ahead. And Kevin, if I can, one thing, and this is where we actually really went. We started with the CRAF model. Like every acquisition or a program, you need a place to start. But as we examined the CRAF model, we found in many different ways, we looked at how we can incentivize industry, and we took a lot of lessons learned from CRAF that we brought into CASR. But, with CRAF, when they call on a CRAF member, those capabilities, those airframes are only utilized in peacetime operations. So say with, I believe with the Afghanistan withdrawal, we needed to augment commercial with DoD. So we needed more DoD assets to do some of the withdrawal, the in and out of Afghanistan. But those commercial capabilities were only utilized in peacetime operations, meaning those DoD capabilities were going that last tactical mile. So the commercial capabilities were really in no harm's way. You know, fast forward to space, our commercial partners are operating in a contested environment every single day. Obviously, a company, if they choose to operate in space, especially a satellite capability, they know that, you know, any given point they will be over the a pacing challenges AOR, and they are putting their capability in harm's way. So, you know, that's really where a lot of this kind of diverged, because, you know, that AOR and that pacing challenge already sees our commercial partners as threats, you know, based on the flag that's on that satellite. So I do always like to go into these calls by also saying thank you to the commercial industry for providing those capabilities, you know, to our nation's warfighters. You know, they have been true patriots, and all the more reason why we really want to make CASR work and have that partnership with industry to make it something that they want to be a part of.
And so I think it's very, very exciting, the role the commercial space has already had to this point. I am curious how you envision some of these solutions evolving in the near future, which either sectors or technologies stand out as particularly promising.
So I think a lot of that is listed in the commercial strategy, as far as the 8 or 9 mission areas that we see that commercial can definitely help us out. Beyond that, I say that we always do what we call extensive marketing and evaluation, or continuous marketing and evaluation, to understand what are the trends in commercial industry. And I also want to mention the stand-up of another field command in the Space Force, Space Futures Command. This group will have 3 distinct divisions: a concepts division, a wargaming and analysis division, as well as the Space Warfighting Analysis Center, or what we call SWAC, will be a part of Futures Command. And they are going to be looking at technologies and possibilities that are probably more outside the FIDEP, that we can have a little bit more runway to do proper investment in. We have been connecting a lot of industry to members of what will be Futures Command, so that they can get a better feel for up-and-coming technologies, a lot of it coming through the startups. So we have been making ties there, but we definitely see a lot of growth in the commercial SATCOM arena. You know, I think there's been broadcasts on some up-and-coming PLEO companies that are coming through, which will be very good. Satellite manufacturing, some very good companies that are coming through, and you know, you see groups like Space Development Agency tapping into those as they've been building out their tranches, knowing that you don't need to build an exquisite satellite bus, but you can tackle or take into account what's already in the commercial market. Alternate position navigation and timing. I've been talking with a lot of companies that have some great ideas on how to get after that. You know, I don't know if I would say that is you'll be making a huge amount of money there, but I definitely see that you would be able to amortize that service very well to recoup your investment. And a lot of companies are able to go after that. Commercial weather, some great companies are doing innovation there, and we're investing with those through the normal sitter project process, but also through our SpaceWorks challenges. And then TAC SRT has been amazing. It's been just very refreshing to see how companies are getting after that, tackling those analytic problems and getting those operational planning products at scale. I think when you start incorporating, artificial intelligence into that a little bit more and machine learning, I think that 72 hours could possibly go down to single-digit hours. So, there are plenty of ways to grow, and we hope to continue that through COMSO.
Excellent. So you mentioned the fight up earlier, and when I was looking at, particularly on the R&D part of the fight up, there appeared to be, I would say, a lot, that happens across all agencies, but keen interest in a number of congressional ads. And it appears that there's a lot of interest in this in space by individual members of Congress and overall in committees. Would you encourage folks would you encourage folks who are listening to this call who are really invested in ensuring to make sure that their particular areas are being prioritized? Should they? Are there people on the Hill they should go talk to, or other areas where there are folks that are? I mean, what's the best approach here? I mean, when you see a lot of new money come out of congressional ads, it wonders like, okay, well, maybe there's another avenue here. Maybe you don't want to just go through the front door, but maybe you want to go go knock on some doors.
Yeah, so most companies do have the ability to talk to Capitol Hill, and they definitely know who to talk to. I mean, most people talk to the congressional defense committees or their congressmen or women in their district to advocate and possibly work the budget process in itself. I will say we were successful in standing up a commercial services program element within the Space Force. We got great support from the SACD and helping stand that up. And what that is going to allow industry to see is, more or less where we're going to start putting our money where our mouths are with regards to commercial. I will say, as far as a COMSO office, the first time we've had a chance to work within the POM process was POM 26, based on the nature of when we were stood up. So we've been working with the Space Force community on getting commercial initiatives POM'd for. Obviously, I can't go much into that because it's all still pre-decisional right now. But I will say, back to your point, we have received a lot of great support within Congress. I think we have a very good runway, and it's not just COMSO. You've seen DIU do very well. You've seen a number of different initiatives on the OSD side, like AppFit, that are going after innovation. But what we are working diligently in COMSO is to make sure that there is a way to transition these capabilities as well, past that valley of death into a sustained funding line or ability, and we're working with our PEOs on that. But what we hope with that commercial services PE is to be a way for folks to see where we're going. I'd also like to mention, and we actually just concluded it because it's very fresh in my mind, we had our very first investment roundtable last month We met with many different investors, both on the private equity side as well as venture capital, and we brought General Gutlein as well as General Purdy with us to go visit them. But it's important for the investment community to also understand where we're going. I think over the past year or so, we've increased our industry days considerably to have that open dialogue with industry. But we need to really also work with the investment community, because I think that's only going to help commercial as well. So we had that first roundtable, and we're going to continue to have those. I think the next one is scheduled for February. But that's also going to help out with investments as well, and help reinvigorate some of what we saw in the 2021 timeframe.
That's actually great news, because I think understanding where the source of the funds you're going to want in the commercial marketplace and reaching out to those people really helps. Now, TechnoMile, I mean, we work with companies of all sizes, from the very large enterprises to the smaller ones that might want PE type backing. And other up-and-coming companies. And we hear from a lot of the smaller ones that they regardless of what you say, that they want to talk to, they say, okay, go through the front door, okay? Who are the right people for somebody who's just starting out? What they don't want to do is send an email off into the middle of nowhere. You previously mentioned a bunch of people. What's your advice to them? Should they be attending these industry days, or what's the best way for them to get personal visibility? I'm not hearing a response. I can move on to the next question.
I'm sorry. My mute finger was broken there for a second, Kevin. Sorry about that.
I got it. Not a problem.
I would definitely say what the front door also does is it advertises our industry events as well as others in the community. And yes, you need to get out to those and talk to people. The front door also does a great job in making those matches. So don't think that you put your information out there and nothing comes of it. But what we also have seen with newer startups is, some of them just, I don't know if I would say that they're ready to talk to the decision makers. They're a brand new startup. They have never done business with the government before. So what we also do is provide educational material, just stuff to read. Many of the things that I've mentioned, some of the nomenclature and vernacular is foreign to a newer startup. So we want to provide that education as well. And then, come through the front door. We'll have those meetings, but we'll guide them in the right direction. Some of these newer startups, they say, well, we don't want any investors, and we kind of help bring them a little bit more of a reality that you are going to need an investor a lot of times, but make it the right investor so that you're getting the right type of investment dollars. Make sure it's not nefarious, but we also make those connections as well. So. It may take a day or two or 72 hours, but you will start having emails with a real live person, and we have no bots in the front door.
So I want to thank you for being as frank as possible. Let me characterize what you said. There are a lot of companies that need to do their homework a lot more. We see this. There are companies that really want to understand. And they want to get through it quickly, but understanding from your industry day all the content, understanding who sold into the marketplace, understanding what contracts are already there and who they might want to partner with. And I guess that's a follow-on question. Is one thing is you're providing education. To what extent are you providing education about partnerships and what smaller companies should be doing to partner with others in the space?
We talk about partnerships all the time. A lot of times, and I've been throwing a lot of business over, is to our Space Enterprise Consortium at Space Systems Command. Some of the companies that we come through the front door are what I'll say are more at the component level. So, not really there for, a full service, but they have a very unique capability that somebody can team with. So Space Enterprise Consortium is a great place to start teaming with another group to get after a prototype and get a contract out there. In fact, I just met with a group yesterday that lends itself very well to that. So I shot out the email myself to link them with the spec program manager. Other partnerships that we match them to is AFRL that are highly interested in capabilities at the component level. So I have a lot of good friends and people that you can team with over there out at AFRL, led by Colonel Jeremy Rayleigh, as well as some groups that are looking for a way to demo their capability and get it launched. Our prototyping and innovation division, as part of Space Systems Command, led by Colonel Joe Roth. He has the space test program underneath him, and they group together many different capabilities, both operational and R&D, and try to find ways to get them to launched, whether it be through rideshare or they get budget for one medium launch capability, I think every 3 to 4 years. So they group together many different capabilities for that. So there's many different ways to partner. And, through COMSO, we're helping make those linkages in not just SSC, but in the overall greater community.
That's an excellent response. Thank you. I think that's going to be very helpful to folks to realize that there were multiple points of entry here, and you're going to find the right place for them to start out. Actually, we've got a very specific question. We know that there are industry days all the time. The question is, when is the next industry day that you all are going to have? Is there a particular, maybe it's on your website in a particular location where these are listed?
I will say the one that is kind of near and dear to my heart right now, I'm trying to figure out which month it was. I believe it was in August. We had another CASR industry day. I think it was in July. We released a RFI with a number of different documents. Because it was important for me to get industry feedback on our readiness plan, on our incentive plan, as well as contract clauses. And industry was very gracious, attended our industry day. I forget, we had well over 200 people attend, and we had roundtables and reverse industry day sessions where that's one-on-one with the government. But we had well over 80 RFI responses by industry for our CASR documents. And so the team has sifted through those, has made updates to our documents based on that excellent feedback. But also industry said, well, great, we had this conversation. Whatever happened to our feedback? So now, fast forward to December, we are actually going to have an industry feedback session. So we're going to hold that in early December. I believe it was, I want to say it's December 3rd and 4th. Don't hold me to that, but we're going to have that feedback session. We will be participating in the Space Power Conference in December. That will be led by SFA down in Orlando. So we will be doing that. And then we are also working on the projected industry engagements or industry days for 2025 right now. I'm getting that blessed through leadership. And we should have that posted on the front door website, hopefully before the end of the year. But
Excellent.
I will say, one of the recurring industry days that we've started to have within the Space Force is the Space Access and Mobility Conference in Orlando in late January. So be on the lookout for that. I believe that will be the third annual of that event. So a great way to learn about where we're going in launch infrastructure, as well as the SAML mission area.
Excellent. So there are a number of questions I think you that get into very specific detailed capabilities. I don't want to dive into those at this point. We're trying to keep it as high level as possible so everyone would get interest. So I think though there is basically there's seemingly a lot of concern of like, my company has a very specific capability. We can't tell though if there's real interest or funding or budget based on what we've seen out there. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. What's the best way for us to really figure out whether or not we have something that the Space Force really wants?
So first and foremost, definitely read the commercial space strategy. And then also even read the DoD commercial space strategy, where you can kind of see where we're going from a principal standpoint and evaluation standpoint, mission area standpoint. See if any of those mission areas are applicable to the technology that you're developing. Definitely go through the front door so we understand who you are, what that capability is, but then we need to start having that conversation and, more or less help guide that company and see if it's where we're going in the government. I think it's very important to provide that honest feedback to companies to say, well, I think that would be great, but we're not looking at it right now. So it could kind of help them understand, okay, what are you looking at more in the here and the now? And then is it something that we can play along with? But once again, that's why I'm very glad and excited to have a futures command. So it's not so much COMSO, which is more looking at, here in the FIDEP, but now they have the ability to talk futures to get visibility there. But then we could do some early investments from that side as well. So I think the biggest takeaway from this is I don't know what I don't know. So that's one of the biggest reasons that we have to have that conversation so that I can better understand what you have and then also link you either with the mission area or give you that feedback to say that that isn't really where we're going or a capability gap that we're looking to fill.
So I think you're basically flipping the script on many of folks and saying, look, if it's something that's so important, something that's so interesting and laid out, it may not be in the FIDEP. Don't stop. Keep pushing, keep making it possible. And then there are people that they'll be able to talk to.
I would, yeah, and I think, Kevin, you bring up a very good point. In a perfect world, we the DoD would like to be one of many customers. We would like to, you have a capability that's out there that's operating now today that I can put on contract, and even if it's only fulfilling 60 to 70% of what I need, that is a lot better than waiting, 5, 6, 7 years building it all in-house. So I ask commercial industry, yes, keep in touch with us. We can help guide you. But at that same time, if you are a commercial entity, you are looking at what are other customers that I can fulfill so that I have an additional revenue stream other than the Department of Defense?
So thank you for that answer. And I think, I'll take this slightly different question that we got. Now, I'm an economist and I love competition, but I'm also a product owner and I love technology. And these can be at odds, especially with new innovative technology. And the question is, the commercial market is currently pretty limited with many single vendor solutions. And how does the Space Force look to expand the market to benefit from actual competition, multiple vendors?
So I think we are, if you look at many of the different mission areas that we are very, to a greater extent, integrating commercial, there is competition. I mentioned three of them. For commercial SATCOM, we have many different vendors on contract today providing capabilities for the government as well as our allies. Through the global data marketplace, we have many different commercial space domain awareness companies on contract providing that capability. And then through launch, we have a mandate to have two distinct launch families providing assured access to space for our capabilities. So, the DoD, and you can listen to Mr. Calvelli as well, we need competition. I mean, competition for the consumer brings down price. For a warfighter and an acquirer, competition also brings out the best in innovation. You can imagine if you only have one provider, how you will just rest, more or less, you're breeding a culture that the provider will just start resting on their laurels. It doesn't incentivize them to be innovative. So what we're also looking at as far as COMSO, and once again, not to beat a dead horse, but what Mr. Calvelli has been prescribing are shorter term contracts so that it provides ample opportunity to on-ramp new providers and innovative technologies regularly. You can look at the commercial SATCOM office and what they've done with the P-LEO IDIQ. Throughout the year, we have a number of opportunities to on-ramp new providers and new technologies as they come online. So we're very willing to do business with other providers because what we want is the best for our warfighters, but at that same time, I want to ensure that I'm having the most innovative technologies as well.
Thank you very much, Colonel. One final question. This has been an excellent discussion. I really appreciate your openness and transparency into commercial space. The final question is, I think it's a slight frustration from some folks. A lot of space tech or services need evaluation before on-orbit trials. And to paraphrase the question, how are you going to make that easier?
How I'm making it easier is having more deliberate conversations with our PEOs to make sure that we are having those conversations with the PEOs, ensuring that commercial knows what that criteria is, but then also having opportunities to do integration. One of my greatest partners that I have right now is Ms. Barbara Golf, who runs the Joint Commercial Operations Cell. And we are expanding that right now. It used to be just space domain awareness, but now we are expanding that to operationalize the TAC SRT mission area. But having the ability to bring industry onto ops floors to more or less bring that capability onto the ops floor as well, getting after real need. And that's going to help companies understand how we are going to integrate it, both from a technology standpoint, but also from a CONOPS standpoint and tactics and procedures. So we're doing that through the JCO. We are also looking to expand the commercial integration cell, so onboarding more companies there. From there, they'll be able to get the appropriate amount of threat sharing. What's going on in the AOR right now? How is your technology being utilized? What are some of the threats out there? How can you make better business decisions based on the threats? So we're looking at more ways on how to provide operational opportunities for companies. The last thing I'll mention is exercises and wargaming. And through CASR, we are going to be expanding that dramatically. We were just working with Shriever War Games. We have Resolute Sentinel 2025 coming up. Next year, we're going to have our very own CASR War Game. So, you know, really getting commercial more integrated into an operational scenario, not just, you know, that pretty little white card thing of, simulated, but let's have the conversations. How are we going to surge that capability? How is the funding going to flow? How are contracts going to work? So really bring them into the fight and make them more integrated into that space architecture.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the answer to that, Colonel. This has been an excellent discussion. So I want to thank you, Colonel Richard Kniseley, the Senior Materiel Leader at the Commercial Space Office of the U.S. Space Force. You've made, I think, a lot of friends in industry today by providing the context they really need to succeed. And once again, I'm Kevin Brancato at TechnoMile, and we help contractors, including space contractors, win more business. So, Colonel, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.